I will be speaking today with Tracey Jewel, author, professional speaker, awarded businesswoman, reality TV star, and mother. After publishing her first book titled Goddess Within, Tracey was invited to appear on Oprah Winfrey show in 2011 and has recently made headlines around Australia as a bride on Channel 9's explosive matchmaking program. However, behind the glamour and fame, Tracey's life wasn't always easy, facing rejection, abuse, and challenges along the way. Hear a story of a young woman who has transformed herself despite many setbacks into a woman of many talents and strengths. Hello, darling, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Barbara. I'm so excited to finally be here.
You have to say hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
There we are. Tracey, tell us about Oprah Winfrey experience. How did it happen?
You know, you couldn't have predicted something like that. I mean, I wrote my book as soon as I had my daughter Grace, and it was just something blog writing, you know, when you're up at 3 a.m. with a new baby. And then before I knew it, you know, my book was on the stands of Dimmicks, and Oprah was here in Sydney, you know, promoting her show. And one of her producers just came across my book, you know, at a bookstore, and then gave it to Oprah, and Oprah liked it, and then before you knew it, I was on the couch in Chicago, and it was her 5th final show that she ever did, because she wrapped up in 2011.
Incredible.
Yeah.
How was your first moment when you met Oprah in person? Was this the Oprah you would imagine, that knowing her from obviously screens?
Oh, you know, I've been a massive fan of Oprah my whole life. I grew up with her, and being able to meet her, her presence is just remarkable. She just holds a stage, and her energy just bounces off the walls, and everything that I put her on her pedestal, she lived up to, and even more so.
Now, she's also my idol, and of course I'm going to compare Hello Darling working process with Oprah Winfrey. Did you rehearse? Did you just come and spoke? How was it on her show?
You just come and speak. I mean, Oprah's so authentic and genuine. I think that really comes across in her interviews. And there's no rehearsing, you're just thrown straight into it, and sometimes that's the best way to be.
I'm glad she does it the same as Hello Darling.
Yeah, perfect, exactly the same.
Tracey, and now Married at First Sight. What
Yes.
made you go into it?
Well, as you know, I've had my ups and downs in relationships, and some of them have been quite public, and they haven't worked out, and I still believe in love. And girlfriends actually said, why not? You'd be perfect for this. So I went in with the best of intentions to find love, and yeah, it's been an amazing experience.
I'm not going to ask you yet if you found love. Oh well, I actually will. Did you find love?
I found love, but not with the person I was matched with. So it's just funny how these things work out.
Incredible.
Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. Now, you have donated the beautiful wedding gown from Married at First Sight for the charity auction in support of Kiss Violence Against Women Goodbye charity campaign. Tell us, why is this cause so close to your heart?
So I've had my own brushings with domestic violence in my past, and I felt like at that time I was all alone, I was very isolated, and I didn't know who to turn to. And I just love causes like this because it gets it out of the dark into the light. And I think just more of that needs to happen, more of these causes. So if I was going to be donating my wedding dress to any cause, this had to be it.
Beautiful, thank you very much. So you had a very dramatic first marriage, real marriage. Can you tell us a little bit more about?
Yeah, so, you know, domestic violence doesn't just happen as a one incident. There's a build-up, and everything's good in hindsight when you look back on it and you're like, oh, they're the warning signs, they're the flags. But at the time, I just didn't see it. You know, the control, you know, alienating you from your family and friends. It's little by little, and then the physical part starts. But it starts as emotional abuse first, and I don't think people realise that it's not just a bruise and it's not just a bump on the head. It's very manipulative and very emotional first. And it almost like sucks your self-esteem out, and then the physical stuff starts, and that's what happened to me.
So if you were to advise women that are watching today, what would be the warning signs of abuse to watch for in a relationship to prevent it?
I think it's listening to your intuition, and you know something's off. It's the right partner, because now I know what a good relationship is. That was my first relationship. I had no benchmark before my marriage. I hadn't been in a relationship before that to be able to know what the warning signs are. And now looking back, it was so obvious. The right partner is never going to stop you catching up with friends and family and having a support network. And that's a big warning sign if they want you all to yourself and to stop you having any kind of a life. The right partner will always support you having your own life. The way they talk to you, the way they control you and put you down. In a relationship, you're supposed to be equals and they're supposed to build and lift you up. And in the case of domestic violence, it's the complete opposite. They just want to push you down to make themselves feel better and to push themselves up. So that's a massive warning sign too.
But obviously, as you say, when you're very young and you don't have the comparison, you can translate it into
Love.
Extreme love.
Yes,
Exactly.
extreme love, obsession.
Yes.
You feel like you're their whole world.
Yes.
And you think that's almost normal that someone loves you that much. But that's not real love at all. A real love is someone that wants to build you up and treat you as an equal.
You know, in the same book, Don't Mess with a Goddess, which I enjoyed so much, you say that abuser will never change.
No.
Can you interpret it? Can you comment on it today?
I think an abusive person, it's in their personality, it's in their DNA, and it always sits dormant. Whether they have had their own childhood issues or aggression problems, unless they really, really get help, it's part of them and they can't control it, and that's where abuse starts. Anyone that has control over themselves and their emotions wouldn't even put themselves in a position to abuse. They literally cannot control themselves, and that's why they can't change.
Tracey, I will quote again one sentence from your Don't Mess with a Goddess book where you say, acknowledge that through the tough times, the miracles of transformation happen. Do you ever think that if your life went ever happily after from the beginning, you wouldn't be who you are today?
Absolutely not. I think it's made me a better friend, a better mother, you know, and just a better person, because I had quite a sheltered upbringing and, you know, I just had no street smarts in living. And what it did is it pushed me to the brink where I was either going to go one or two ways. Is I was going to let it get the better of me and just give up, Barley's, white flag, or I was going to build on it and make sure that moment in my life didn't define me. And it's like I didn't want to give any more of my life or energy away to a man that treated me like that. It was almost like wanting to prove him wrong. And from there, I was in a marriage for 9 years where I didn't even have to pay a bill. And then I had to go to being independent, earning my own income, literally starting from the ground up. And I just wanted to prove to myself and my daughter that I could do it.
And when the marriage broke down, when you decided to walk away, or I should say run away, tell us about the transformation you went through, all other transformations.
Yeah, so, you know, you lose so much self-esteem. Like, my whole identity was attached to that marriage. I hadn't built my own identity. So I thought, this is my perfect opportunity to look the way I want to look, you know, be healthy, be active, get back in shape and be fit, and why not have some Botox along the way?
Yeah.
You know, so I just took it, you know, I was 30 and I thought, I want to look the best I've ever looked, and thought, why not? And I did it for me. I didn't do it for anyone else. I did it for myself, for my own self-esteem.
Yeah. When did you decide to become advocate for women?
The first time was when I became a mother. That's when my writing, I've always loved writing, but that's when my writing really took a whole creative stream. And from there, I just believe the things you go through in your life, like being adopted and domestic violence, to make sense of them, I had to write about them. And then I wanted to share them with people, because I thought, I've been given a gift of writing. I've gone through this. Surely if it just reaches one person on my blog or through my book, then I've made a difference. And I believe we go through things in life to share it with others and help others. Otherwise, you don't make meaning out of it, and then it's a waste.
Talking about sharing, we just discussed before the interview the social media ripple effect. What do you think about the dangers of social media, being a mother of a young girl?
Well, especially, you know, being in high-profile relationships, my books, being in a public eye, and as well as this TV show, I've suddenly now, you know, the social media bullying has taken a whole nother level. I've literally received thousands and thousands of bullying a day for the last, you know, forever how long, and it's brutal. And I'm lucky I'm a strong woman, I can handle it, but I can't imagine a teenage girl dealing with even one or two messages of bullying. I mean, This is the thing, a lot of the people bullying me are mothers. And I'm like, what type of example? You're bullying me. What type of example are you setting for your children if you're the one doing the bullying in the first place?
So how do we shield our children from it? How do you protect your daughter from, for example, experiencing the same?
I think it's teaching them that their own person is separate to social media. There's real and there's not real, and online isn't real. They need to know what's real, and what's real is that their family and their friends support them and love them, and they know who they are and their identity. And online isn't real, it's a fake world. And I think a line needs to be drawn between that and who they actually are, because otherwise they take those comments on like it is them, and that's the problem. They take it to heart.
Tracey, I want to touch up on forgiving. We saw you forgiving on Married
A lot.
at First Sight. But I'm going to go back to another forgiving in your life. You were given for adoption as a little girl, and you shared with me that in the age of 18, you went in search for your birth mom, and you found your birth mom, and you obviously forgave your mom. Tell us about it.
I was brought up by adopted parents that are very charitable and very warm and compassionate people, luckily, and I certainly have my values from them. They were so open to me finding my birth mum, Patricia, and when I did, I went in there with no judgment, because I didn't know this woman. I didn't know the reasons she gave me up. There could have been 1,000,001 reasons. I had no idea, and I wanted to meet her, to obviously form a relationship with her. She's my biological mum after all. But once she shared me her story, that how young she was when she gave me up, she was only 18, you know, of course I'm going to forgive her, because I knew what it felt like at that time to be 18, and there was no way I could bring a child up. And back then in the 80s, you know, there's no financial support, there's no government support. She didn't have her parents' support. They shipped her off to the Royal Australian Air Force after giving birth. You know, of course I'm going to give her forgiveness and compassion, and I think it's a great trait to have. And I think a lot of people don't forgive, and they hold resentment and grudges, and I only have love for her and what she did. I think it's a very, very selfless act to give a child up to a better life.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
How emotional was the first moment when you walk in and saw your real mum?
We met at a cafe in the Perth City, in the CBD, and I'll never forget it. I knew her straight away. I knew exactly who she was. She looked exactly like me.
Wow.
And the penny really dropped for me, because you grow up with adopted parents that don't look like you. Yes, you kind of nature versus nurture, but they don't look like you. You grow up not looking like anyone. And as soon as I saw her, I'm like, wow, that's my mum. The way she held her coffee cup, her mannerisms, the way she spoke, it was like looking in a mirror. It was like all the pennies were dropping. It just gives me goosebumps now just talking about it.
Me too, but thanks for sharing this, Tracey. Why do you think people today have such a difficulties in finding a real love?
I think because we want everything now. You know, we're the want now mentality. You can go on Tinder, swipe, and have a date an hour later. And I think people aren't in it when the going gets tough. It's easy to get into a relationship, but it's hard. It's easier to leave than harder to stay. And I think people take the easy way out, and they also expect an instant relationship. They want a relationship straight away. It takes time to build trust. It takes time to build a relationship and memories. And I just think people don't see the long term of it. They see the short term quick fix.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
I do believe in love at first sight. But, you know, love comes in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes it happens straight away. Sometimes you have a friendship first and love builds over time. I think that there's no rhyme or reason with love at all. And I know that for sure.
Writing is obviously a huge passion of yours. Are there any more books that we can expect?
Yes, so I've finished writing my next book, This Goddess Means Business, going off the back of Don't Mess with the Goddess, and that will be coming out soon. After my last book, Don't Mess with the Goddess, a lot of women ask me, because I'm in marketing as well, for advice about mindset in a business sense, not a personal sense. So This Goddess Means Business is all about getting in the right mindset to start your own business, because it's a very different outlook to being an employee, because you need to be self-motivated, you need to be disciplined. So I go into more the mindset of how to promote yourself as your own person, as your own brand, as well as in your own business.
So be your future entrepreneur, yes?
Yes, exactly. and using your voice and your brand to make a difference in the world through business, not just personally. And it all comes down to mindset. It doesn't matter what product or service you're trying to sell, it all comes down to your personal voice, because that's your unique proposition and no one can replace you. It doesn't matter if 100 products or services are out there like yours already, no one can replace you. And that's where the mindset comes in, and that's what the book's about.
And yet we know that not all of us can be entrepreneurs.
Correct, yes.
So it's about identifying the entrepreneur in you.
It's identifying everyone has a part of an entrepreneur in them, and everyone's great at something, and it's just uncovering your own truth and what that is.
Tracey, darling, what's the ideal man for you? We know who is not.
Yeah.
So what's the image of an ideal?
Is there any ideal man? That's the question.
No, the one for you.
Well, I definitely have a pattern of picking the alpha males, and that hasn't worked for me. And I think I learned a lot of lessons going on a TV experiment on what is right and what is wrong for me. And as you grow older, you definitely change what you need in a person. And because I am financially independent and I'm a strong person in myself now that I wasn't 15 years ago, what I need is just someone that's an equal and someone that's supportive and caring and kind and has the same values as me. What they do for a job, how much money they have, even age is now irrelevant for me. It all comes down to the person I want to share my life with and their personality.
Tracey, where do you see Tracey Jewel in 10 years from now?
I think I would love to work more with youth and teenagers about my personal experiences and take on more mentoring roles and more speaking and things like that, as well as bringing up my daughter. So yeah, I feel like everything I've been through in my life is too big for just me to sit on it. I need to be able to share my message and help as many people as I can, and I'm so passionate about it, and that's what you do too. I think we're all here for a reason, to use our voice to help others.
Any marriage on horizon?
Who knows? Who knows? I'm always the ambassador for love, and I'm a hopeless romantic, so I hope so, and I hope maybe more kids in my future as well.
Beautiful. Tracey, if you had a magic wand, what would you wish for?
If I had a magic wand, what would I wish for? I'd wish for equality between men and women. I think we've certainly, with this Me Too campaign and everything, getting the short straw lately. And I'm a big advocate of young women getting the right opportunities that sometimes, I don't know, what's the word to say? I just feel like young women don't get the same opportunities as men their age, and I'd like to see that balanced out.
And what would be your message to young women watching today, women who are searching, who find, searching for answers? What would be your message to the young women?
I just think, you know what, we all need mentors. For myself personally, I haven't got to where I am on my own. It's about getting the right tribe around you, getting the right support network that brings you up, doesn't cut you down. And that doesn't mean being around women that gossip, badmouth, behind your back. The real friends don't do that. And I think for me, what got me through are my friends and my mentors. So don't be afraid to ask someone that you see in 10 years' time where you want to be. I'm sure they'd love to help you. You just need to reach out and ask for help. We can't do it all on our own.
That's right. Tracey, I can't do it on my own, so thank you for coming today. Thanks so much, and wishing you all the happiness. And thanks for being on the show today.
I was so happy to be here.
Thank you.